Hello everybody, welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2021 horror film The Unholy, a film that is co-written and directed by Evan Spilotopoulos. And it stars Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Cricket Brown, William Sadler, Katie Aselton and Diego Morgado. Right, this film focuses on Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character Jerry, who's a bit of a sleazeball journalist. He ends up at like this small American town to do a story on cattle. It's going nowhere, and then he kind of stumbles on a story of this teenage girl who was deaf and mute, and then has this moment of awakening, I suppose, at a local spot, and she then suddenly, not only can she speak and hear, but she's hearing voices from Mary, Mother of Jesus, Mary, who then is able to cure people of ailments. However, Jeffrey Dean Morgan and the local, priests and things like that start looking into all this. They all think it's all genuine and miracles, and then Jeff D. Morgan, upon investigating, thinks there might be something a little bit more sinister at play here. What are my thoughts on The Unholy? Well, this film has been getting what I would consider to be a pretty lukewarm reception from audiences and critics. And that usually, generally speaking, doesn't lend itself to a really highly entertaining horror film. But I thought I'd give this one a go. I like Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I think he's a good actor. I don't mind the concept here. I've seen, it's not a new concept, this sort of thing. So I thought I'd give it a go, especially, with it being like a cinema release. It'll have decent production values, that sort of thing. And actually, it's certainly quite a watchable horror film, this. It ain't gonna, it's not overly memorable. It's not one of those you'll be rushing out to buy and add to the collection. But it's not awful either at the same time. The performances, I think, generally speaking, are all strong. Yes, some of the characters are a bit cliched and not particularly well written. But, other than that, the performances from the actors, most of them are veterans, they know what they're doing. They're all fine and strong. For me, the biggest issue with this film is the last 20 minutes or so feel incredibly rushed, and it just felt like they were hashed together, like they didn't really know how to finish the film effectively. It just felt rushed and cliched by the end, and some of the CGI I just think's pretty terrible. Don't know why they do it. Save your money and put it into the production values of the film. Don't blow your money on CGI, because most of the time it looks pretty terrible, and it does here in this film as well. Not all of it. There's some effective stuff going on here, but when you see this demonic thing later in the film, fully CGI realised, it's just like, what is this? For me, it took a lot away from the film. The last 20 minutes, I think, took a lot away from this film. I thought everything before it was generally very, very watchable, and certainly I had a decent enough time watching it. I like Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character, who's like this journalist looking a little. Well, he's not initially looking for redemption. He's still a bit of a slimeball at the beginning, just looking for a story. But his redemption kind of comes through the film, if you like, because he's not well respected, because he basically made up stories in the past to try and progress his career, if you like. So he's not well respected by other journalists, and he's certainly not. His reputation has taken a real bashing here. So he's got to prove his own credentials, as well as this young girl Alice has consistently got to kind of prove her. Is she genuine? Are these miracles real? And again, they missed the mark there. There's two priests here. You've got Carrie Elves from Princess Bride fame and Saw fame, and Diego Morgado, both playing parish priests, and none of them standing out really at all, and one of them being quite villainous, and you won't need many guesses to figure out who that's going to be. So they wasted them characters completely, I feel, and it kind of fell into the same old let's dig around in the church records and find everything we know cliche. You know what I mean? It was one of those where something happened in 1845. Let me have a look at the church records. That'll tell us everything we need to know. Uh, really? You know, it's just it's cheap. It's a cheap way of progressing your story, I think. But I don't think it's a complete waste of time, this film. I did enjoy an awful lot of it. I thought it was, a decent idea, nicely filmed, decent performances. It just falls apart a little bit by the end. So I'm going to give this one a 6 out of 10. It's not shockingly bad or anything like that. Most of horror films that get poor reviews aren't really. But it ain't brilliant at the same time. So that is my review for The Unholy. I hope you liked it. I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for watching. And I will be back with more content on the channel very, very soon.